Habs lose 1-0 against the Calgary Flames. Interesting game, to say something, because there's not a lot to say, honestly. Different cat, by the way. We have 3. This one tolerates being picked up. The other one kind of likes it. But the other one is giving me the cold shoulder today. So Habs at Calgary. Calgary had been a little bit of context for the game, because Calgary had just had a rough 6-game away trip. They had gone to the East Coast and they had not played well. They had lost a bunch of games, and they had just returned to Calgary like the day before. So there's I've heard a lot of commentators saying that when a team returns from a long road trip, it's like they're still on the road. So somehow they are supposed to be very tired, right? They're just being on a road trip for super long. They just return home, and we are on our own road trip. The Habs. We just fought against Edmonton on Thursday, excuse me. And we traveled to Calgary on Friday, spend the day there, and we're playing Saturday night. Saturday night, yay! Hockey night in Canada. So the stakes are really high for both teams, because both teams are fighting for that wildcard spot. So it's expected to have a different tone of the game, right? It's expected to have more of a playoff vibe. And before the game started, I was really hyped for it, because you even saw Lundberg, I think it was, chirping a jack eye at the middle line before the game started. And I thought it was gonna be, very physical, very tight game. And it was a very tight game. It wasn't as physical as I thought it would be. There wasn't not many scrums, not many fights. They weren't trying to get into under each other's skin. And I think that's because they're not division rivals. It's just East Coast fighting a West Coast team, so you don't have that rivalry that there is, like against Buffalo, for example, that did get very physical. But the stakes were there, right? Like, we're both fighting for playoff spots, so we both want to get at least 1 point. So both teams playing really tight, and both the goalies were really good once again. I said against the Edmonton game that both Montembeault and Skinner were both really good, and I think in this game last night, both Dabesh and Wolf were both amazing. Wolf gets a shout out. Obviously, he was really good. He did have to make some setups, and here's my biggest gripe of last night's game. We made it so easy for him. We made it just really easy. We know he's a good goalie. Like, coming into this game, we know we're facing a good goalie. We know we're facing a good defensive team. Well, that's what I heard or saw, actually. We made it fairly easy. Like, the only really dangerous chances we had were on the rush. We were not able to keep the puck in the offensive zone, and when we did have possession, nobody went to the net. It's always Gallagher just going to the net. Sure, Gallagher does an amazing job there, but he's tiny. He gets pushed. He was fighting against 2 towers in Anderson and Ball, I think they are. Like, he's not gonna be able to stay there long, right? He's gonna get pushed out. I don't know, but I think I didn't see Slafkovsky go once to the net to be a screen, to try to go for a redirect, to anything. Same with Anderson or our big bodies, they were not going to the net. So Wolf just was able to see everything he was shot at him. Like I said, we did have a few dangerous chances off the rush. Caulfield gets one that tosses it up. I think Anderson gets one on the penalty kill that also was a 1-on-1 and again misses. So we had our chances to score. Sure, you're not going to score all of those, but we made it fairly easy. And the first period, we had 2 shots again or something like that. Yes, they had 6, so it wasn't a super high shooting period, but 2 shots when you're trying to fight for a playoff spot, yeah, I mean, we made it up on the third because after they scored on the second, they were just trying to shut down, and they do what we tried to do against Buffalo and then Edmonton. And they were just giving us the puck all the time, sending us back to our zone, tossing it high, icing it. They iced it so much. We just couldn't convert. We couldn't keep the puck in their zone. They were able to retrieve it and just send it out pretty fast. So after they scored, and especially on the third, we had the puck a lot more. We made up the shots. I think we had more shots than them by the end of the game. But don't kid yourself. Like, before they scored, the shots were like 16-6 or something like that, if I remember correctly. It was only after they scored, when they were like, okay, let's shut down, that we started scoring more, because we needed something, right? A little too late. And like, again, because they were in shutdown mode, they just didn't allow many shots from dangerous chances. Everything we were taking was from the outside. It's starting to, I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend against teams that are very good defensively and that are good at shutting down. Like against the Jets, it was similar. If they score first, the Habs just can't find a way. Feels like the only way they can score is by doing something on the rush. But like, if you're playing against a team that's on playoff mode and they're keeping the game tied, they're not gonna give you those chances, you know. So we had very few of them. So how come the only way we can win against a defensive team, like what happened against Carolina, is by scoring first? It seems like to be the only way. If we don't score first, if they score first, they're just going to shut down and we're going to crumble. Like, we're not going to be able to score. We're going to take chances, take risks, and sometimes when we take those risks, they score on us. And like, it almost happened. Dobish had to be really, really good, actually, in the third. He only faced like 2 or 3 shots or whatever it was. Probably more than that, but you get the point. Like, they weren't a lot of shots, but all of those were dangerous chances, because we needed to take chances, right? We needed to risk stuff. We needed to play more aggressively to try and get that goal. And because of that, we obviously like leave a little bit of the defensive side behind, and yeah, and every chance they got was very dangerous. It was 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 or like, we're late, our defenseman pinched up, so it's just a forward playing defense, and like, they get walked by. Like, they had, I know I'm repeating myself, but they had 3-4 really good chances. Dobish had to be amazing, and he kept us in the 1-goal game, and then we couldn't score. No Laine last night. I don't know what's up. I don't know if it's something mental with him or something actually, like he has the flu or something like that. I think it's the former. I think he's not well mentally again, sadly. He seemed pretty down the last few games. I know he's always like that, and might be like the Finnish factor, but I really hope he's okay. I really hope he participates again for the rest of the road trip. Because we had 2 power play opportunities, and Laine's spot is taken again by Caulfield, so he's there, the sniper on the left, and we put Armia as the 5th. Armia, sure, like, the guy can help retrieve the puck and whatnot, but like, our power play becomes so much worse with Laine out of the lineup. So much worse. So Caulfield gets a few chances actually on the power play. I don't think that our power play was bad per se. We actually did generate a few things, and we had our chances. Hudson, I think, he had a really good game. He was generating again offense. He was getting those passes, finding the seams, creating space. He threw so many good passes where he would shake off the first guy on him, just find the seam, throw a pass, and they just couldn't put it in. I mean, obviously there was still the defense on the goalie, right? That they needed to beat, but yeah, Hudson was generating the passes. I think he needs to take the shot more often. Sometimes he would shake off the first guy, and everyone just opens up, and I think he could find that shot. He needs to take it. Like, I'm thinking of this one particular scenario. I think he threw a pass to Anderson, I'm gonna say. I'm forgetting exactly who it was, but it was like, I think before they scored, in the second period, I think it was, or maybe earlier in the third. I'm forgetting. But he shakes off one, and he can take the shot, but he decides to pass. I think he needs to take some of those shots. Not all of them. He's a really good passer, and he does find the seam. But I think teams are starting to like not fear his pass, not fear his shot. You know, he always fakes shot first before passing to try and freeze the defenders a little bit. They were not buying any of that. Obviously, like, they still freeze a little bit, but like, yeah. They were back to defending pretty fast. So, yeah, I really do think Hudson needs to take some of the shots. He played so long. He had a lot of time on ice with Matheson. So, because we didn't have Line, I think our lines were fairly mixed up. Because we had... The first line stays the same. Then we had Beck with Newhook and Anderson. And then we had... Gallagher, Dvorak, and Peseta, asterisk, because Peseta played under 5 minutes. So a lot of those shifts were taken with someone from the first line. So Slav played there, Caulfield played there, Suzuki played there. Sometimes with people from the other lines too. But and our fourth line remained the same with Evans, Sermia, and Heinemann. So a little bit of a shift there, and I think our second line played a lot better defensively. Actually, I mean, go figure. Do you replace Line with Anderson, and yeah, you become a lot better defensively. But we became a lot worse offensively. Like, that line was not generating anything, and no line was generating anything. Honestly, like, kudos to the Flames for shutting us down like that. Our first line, I think all of them had, I have it right here. Suzuki had 24 minutes, Caulfield 23 minutes, and Slavkovsky 22 minutes, almost 22 minutes. They played a lot. We put our first line out there a lot. They just couldn't make anything happen. Like, the first and second period, nothing. Very quiet. Very, very quiet. It was all Calgary. Or like, a lot of neutral zone pressure from both teams. Actually, we were also pressuring a lot in the neutral zone. We just couldn't get a clean entry, and when we did get an entry, it was fairly easy for them to retrieve the puck and send it out or keep it themselves during the first and second period. We only started generating chances when they started giving us the puck on the third period, and we started having a little bit more of zone, but they kept us to the outside. We couldn't break in. So yeah, our first line was also very quiet. I think Caulfield had a few chances here and there. Suzuki gets one or two shots in the power play, but that's about it. Other than that, like, I can't think of many chances we had that were, dangerous chances. I like how Beck played to some extent. He's still a rookie. He's still getting used to it, but he plays hard. I do think he's going to be really good fourth, third line center for us in the long term. I wouldn't put it at second line, but we don't have anyone there. What are you gonna do, right? We don't get a second line center during the trade deadline. We stay put during the trade deadline, which some people are saying it was pretty good. Like, you keep the team the same. You send a good message to your team. Suzuki was asking Kent Hughes apparently that he do not move anyone, and they played really well before that. So, I mean, they deserve it, sure. Now, what do you do? Okay, you protected your teammates. Now, what do you do? Suzuki was playing a lot. Suzuki's playing on the second line of the second line of the power play. Second power play unit, there you go. That's what I was trying to find. So the second power play unit, he's out there too. So he's getting a lot of minutes. Marty's playing him a lot. And yeah, he was generating during the last 5 games. His streak was ended against Edmonton, but Now it's 2 games where he doesn't get any point. He's playing well. He's not playing bad. But yeah, like you can't slow down. We don't have the leeway to do anything. We need to get all the points we can get. Yesterday we don't get any points, and the other teams that we're fighting against, they do get a few points here and there. And the gap's starting to build again. We need to win against Vancouver. I think we play against first, and then Seattle. We need to win those 2 games. If we lose any of those 2, I think it's going to be really hard for us to make the playoffs. Yeah, I know I said this before. We can't afford to lose. Yesterday's loss, it wasn't horrible. I think we still played a fairly decent game, especially in the third when they were giving us the chances, when they were giving us the puck. The first period, they need to wake up earlier. They need to start playing earlier. It took a little bit too long, or they need to figure out how to play against teams like that earlier, because it took a little bit too long to get started, to get going. Yeah, that was all Calgary at the start. And Wolf, yeah, he played amazingly. We made it easy for him, I think. Anyways, I don't have much more. I'm just going in circles now. I was going to mention, I didn't see much of Jacky during the third, but actually checking the shifts, he was there. It was just because we needed a goal, and because the tables were against us, or yeah, whatever. Because the odds were against us, Marty was putting out there Hudson a lot. I think Hudson played with Savard a bunch, and Matheson also. I think Struble also didn't see a lot of ice time during the third. But he actually did play 15 minutes. Jacker played 16 and a half. So Struble, what was the? Oh yeah, actually, the goal. Sorry, the one goal that in the whole game. I don't know what was going on there. I think both Heinemann and Struble had a brain fart. Obviously, assignments were missed. I think it was between 2 lines. I think it was Beck out there too, or the Beck line, and the Heinemann line was starting to get out there, but it was Heinemann there with Beck, and then whoever scored, I forget his name. Who was it? Pospisil? No. Oh, I don't remember who it was. I have all the names here, and I still don't know who it was. Anyways, Farabee. There you go. Farabee, who scores. Farabee gets the puck by the blue line, and I think Heinemann points at him, saying like, okay, someone go at him. But Heinemann doesn't have anyone. I don't think he has anyone, at least. He's like, stays to the side. And then Farabee sends a pass and moves into the ice because they're giving him so much ice. And then Struble is in front of him. Struble doesn't go ahead to try and block the shot. He instead decides to leave space so that Dobish can see the shot. But he's so close. Like, he's so close to the net. Farabee is super close to the net for that. It's gonna be really hard to save it, and it goes in. I don't know what happened there. Obviously, it was some sort of miscommunication. We can't have those brain farts. We can't have that. Like, yeah, sure, I'm sure it happens, and like hockey, especially in the NHL, is a game of mistakes and of capitalizing on the other team's mistakes. Yeah, they capitalized on that one, but that was a pretty bad mistake. I think it was Struble and Heinemann that they got their cables switched. So Struble that doesn't see a lot of ice time after that, and it's been now 2 games, I think, 2 or 3 games that he hasn't been amazing. Before that, he had been playing really well, but I don't know. I don't know what you do. Maybe reduce a little bit of his ice time, and he has been playing with reduced ice time now. But maybe it's too many responsibilities for him yet, playing on that second pairing. Maybe you put him with Savard a little bit. Although Jacky and Hudson, I don't know if that's gonna go any better. But maybe you put Struble with Savard for a couple shifts just to give him some base, some stable base, right? Because Hudson is a really good defenseman, and he had some really amazing defensive plays actually on the boards behind the net. He goes one way, then fakes the other one, and then like tosses the pass to himself, goes around. He's so smart going behind the net to not get tossed out because he's smaller. So he knows he's smaller than most of the other players, and he uses that to his advantage to some extent. It's just so amazing to see. Every time the puck goes behind and you see Hudson, look at the edge work that he does. Look at the movement of his shoulders, of his hands. He deceives the forwards so much, and most of the time he goes away with the puck. He gets away with the puck like fairly easily. The forecheck doesn't get to him. So amazing to see. But he does pinch a lot offensively, and like, yes, he sometimes sees the rush and he joins the rush. So Struble, being his pairing, needs to be very responsible defensively, and I think he most of the time fulfills that role pretty well. But he does have this brain farts, for lack of a better word, where he gives opportunities, and it happened against Edmonton as well. I'm sure, like, he's young, he's gonna figure it out. I think Struble might be a good piece into our team in the future. I think he's also a good trade chip. So a lot of rumors going of how Montreal is gonna go hard during the offseason, getting a few good players. And I think if any trade happens, Struble might be part of whatever trade. So I like the guy. He's really good, and I do hope that if he stays with Montreal, he has a good career, because I do think he's a really good player, and he will be a really good player. I also do agree that he's a good trade chip, and if you are aiming to get a second line center, you need to pay something, right? You either go hard in UFA on a UFA guy and pay them a lot of money. Which I don't think is going to happen, because it does go against the culture that Ken Hughes and Suzuki and the Habs are trying to build. Like, they just signed Evans to a better deal, and when they asked Evans about the extra money he could have made in UFA, he was like, I don't give a shit about money. Like, that's what you want to hear from all your players. You want to know your players want to play in Montreal, want to play for your team, and are willing to take a discount. And that's the culture you want, and that's the culture you need to get a Stanley Cup, right? I think the Bruins had that before with Marchand and Bergeron. Like, they were all taking discounts, and I think a couple of our guys have taken discounts to keep playing for this team, right? So I don't think we go out in UFA and sign like a $13 million guy. I don't think that's going to happen. So I do think the way we filled our second line center position is going to be through a big trade. And yeah, we're going to have to trade some of the names we like, sadly. That's how it goes, right? But anyways, I'm just yapping for too long now. So Seattle or Vancouver first, then Seattle. I think we play Monday, probably. Maybe Tuesday. I forget. We'll play back to back. Anyways, we need to get those games. We need to get rolling again. They need to shake this off, whatever it's been. Lately, they haven't been playing to the best of their standards. They say that's standards. There's a couple guys that need to play better because they play better. No one is playing bad. I don't think anybody's playing bad, but they need to play better. So that's it. Don't forget to leave on any feedback, the good, the bad. And I'll see you after Vancouver game, which I don't know when it is. I'll check that right now. Go Habs go! Woo!